Welcome to Generations, a show which helps people 50 and better lead happy, healthy, and productive lives. Hosted by Nadia Giordana, and here's Nadia.
Hello and welcome to Generations. I'm Nadia Giordana. Co-hosting with me today is Diane Winkler. Welcome, Diane.
Well, thank you. I'm very excited about today because I think the topic is terrific.
I am too. Jean Illsley Clarke is our guest, and Jean is a parent educator and also a nationally known author. Is that correct, Jean?
Tis.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here today, and I am thinking that you're going to be helping us talk about grandparenting and how we as grandparents and even great-grandparents can help our adult children with raising their children, or at least supporting their efforts at raising their children.
Exactly.
Well, tell us a little bit about you and your books and what you do with parents.
Well, what I do with parents mostly is commiserate because parenting is very difficult right now. In a developed country in peacetime, I'm not talking about raising children in Afghanistan, but in a developed country in peacetime, parenting may be as hard right now or harder than it has ever been because we are parenting without patterns. We can't parent as we were parented because the kids live in a different world.
And there's so much around us.
And it changes. I used to think it changed every 15 years, and now it changes every 5 or every 2.
Yeah.
So my granddaughters come over with a new something in their hands, and I say, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've had to give up on limiting screen time because screens are absolutely everywhere.
Screens are everywhere. It's
And
not
so-
just television.
Oh, my, no. It's the palm of the hand. Recent research indicates that in America, the average teenager is spending 8 hours a day online. So that means they are constantly doing 2 or 3 or 4 things. But you asked me to tell about myself, and I need to do this so you know from whence I speak. And that is with 2 colleagues, David Bredehoff and Connie Dawson. I have written the book, How Much is Too Much? And this book is research-based. We have done 10 studies, and our particular study is if you are overindulged as a child, what's going to happen when you're grown up? And we do this by questionnaire, and we have a validated test by which we can find out, we get an indication of whether you were overindulged, not at all, somewhat, pretty often, or a whole lot. And then we compare those.
So you can tell by the answers a person gives on a questionnaire whether they've been overindulged.
Isn't that amazing?
It
Yes.
is totally.
And is it totally accurate? Well, is any research? I mean, I'm a serious researcher, and I am always thinking, what wasn't measured? How do we know? But this is the best we have. It's the only large base research study out there. And so in this book, which is a revision of How Much is Enough, How Much Enough came out in 94, no, in 04, and then this book came out last year in 14. And I had to add a section on grandparents, and there are 4 chapters.
Sure.
And that's what I'd love to talk about today. I am a grandparent, and I am old, and this is a program for people over 50 Well, I've now been over 50 for 40 years. And so
Congratulations.
Yeah, so
I
definitely.
just had a birthday. And so when people tell me they're old, I say, I've probably been old a lot longer than you have.
What do
Anyhow,
they say? How do they answer you back?
oh, they say, you look young, and I say, I do not. I look like I'm supposed to look. This is how 90 looks.
But how are you supposed to look at 90?
Well, everybody wants you to be younger, and I don't want to be younger.
You're satisfied and okay with right where you are.
I really love it.
Oh, how wonderful.
I think my 80s were my best decade.
That's fantastic.
Oh, there's so much I don't have to do anymore.
No, it's true, too.
I really like it. So, what is overindulgence? The short definition is that overindulging is giving too much or giving in too much. So it's doing too much, it's giving too many things, it's giving in on the rules and the structure.
And it's so easy to do things like that. It's
All
easy
the
to buy
time.
presents, it's easy to give in.
All the time. And so one of the questions was, why would grandparents overindulge? Well, just think about it. We were told recently about a grandpa who just announced that he is providing a television for his grandson's room, and his grandson is 3 years old. And all that we know about brain development, this is not a good idea. So do you think that he got up in the morning and said, well, Grandma, in order to be sure, or the best we can, that our children will have difficulty as adults, let's overindulge today? No, he didn't do that.
No, he didn't.
He did it like we all did it. He did it from a good heart. And so I can't manage to be mad at people who overindulge. I can only manage to empathize and to know that it's very easy for me to do it. And we live in a whole culture that overindulges. The schools do. Oh, well, the paper's late. You know, get it in whenever or not at all. And on every level, right at this moment, we're trying that out. And I think it's a poor experience. Maybe it's an experiment that we're trying to see how it will work if we just spoil these kids.
What do you think will be the outcome? What is
I
your
think that the
guesstimate?
workplace eventually will probably draw our attention to it
Okay.
as we get this flood of young people who don't know how to do a job because they've never done chores, and that's where you learn how, and who have never been held accountable.
Responsibility.
And now I'm giving you the qualities that we have identified, and who think if something goes wrong, it's somebody else's fault, and who think if something needs fixing, that's up to someone else. And those are not things that make for a good worker. See, when you do chores, you learn 5 things. What's the job? Do I know how to do it or find out? Do the job. Finish the job. And put your gear away. And when you and I go to work, any day we go to work, that's what we do.
That
we
is.
do.
That is.
And Marty Rossman's longitudinal research tells us that the most successful mid-20-year-olds in her program started chores at 3, age 3. Well, of course, at age 3, you don't say, go mow the lawn. But you start teaching household tasks and self-care tasks.
Put your toys away.
Yeah, a little bit at a time. You're going to set the table. Here's the silverware. They plunk it all down. They did what you said. So I thought about grandparents, and I immediately started one of my informal research things, which is where I go around and interview people. You know, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I talked to grandparents. And some of them said, I want to spoil my kids because that's what grandparents are supposed to do. But I can't because their parents have already spoiled them.
Oh.
Didn't expect that
I didn't
answer.
expect that
No.
line either.
Yeah, a lot of that. And the other group said, I am able to do it, and I like to do it, and I worry about it.
Yeah. Well, and worrying about it, what are some indicators that a grandparent or great-grandparent can know, oh, I'm overindulging, how do I back off on this, or what's a better route?
Well, overindulgence happens in 3 ways. So if you can't walk through the living room for toys on the floor, you know that you're not giving more toys, at least to go to their house. That's a visual indicator.
Sure.
Because buying too much is one of the ways that it happens. A second way is poor structure. And if these are kids who can't follow rules, then you know that at your house, they must have the experience of some very simple rules that you carry through on, and they may not like it, but you are gifting them.
Oh, that's a good word for that.
Gifting them.
Okay.
And then the third thing is doing too much for children. And we do that because we want to and we can. And what they learn from that is disrespect.
Yes.
Disrespect.
And someone will do it for me.
And someone will do it for me and should do it for me. And so you look at what the parent is doing for the child and think, is that developmentally appropriate? So I was sitting at a big luncheon recently, and the woman sitting next to me had a 12-year-old daughter at the luncheon. 12-year-old daughter was behind her at the next table. And the mother kept leaning over and saying, eat your food. And I thought, I got a 12-year-old granddaughter. I got to ask her what she would think if they were out and her mother or father kept saying, eat your food. I mean, 12?
Good heavens.
Good heavens. So I tried to figure out what's a grandparent's job.
Well, Jean, we've got about 2 minutes left. Would you give us some pointers? I think you're about to, some pointers on how that us as grandparents can help those parents.
To help the parents who are overindulging, you can tell them, if they're parents who will listen, some kids who will listen, some do, some don't, that their good intentions, according to one major research study, are that this is not helpful to the kids because parents intend to be helpful to their kids. And if they read, give them the book. And if they watch and listen, have them listen to this. Or various videos of me that are up someplace or other. And then you yourself hold the line and do the jobs that are I think now are the grandparents' jobs. And that is, let them know about your growing up, your past experiences.
Oh, yes.
Help them understand, who am I and where did I come from? Help them know that they are valued clan members. The clan, the family, the clan, the community, the clan, the nation, the clan, the world. And teach them the family's spiritual legacy, whatever that is. And we often think of a spiritual legacy as, well, we're Christian or Jewish or whatever. And I have a good friend who has no Christian legacy. She has no religious legacy. But she has a rich ethical learning.
That's so important. And
Yeah.
Jean, thank you for being on the show today.
My
This has
pleasure.
been so informative. It's helped me a lot. I'm sure Diane also.
absolutely.
Diane, thank you for being here. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.